In a time long ago, there lived a young prince named Batari. Batari's father ruled over the kingdom of Kaya, a peaceful land of red earth and golden grasslands. Though Batari wanted for nothing in his royal life, he grew restless as a young man. He longed to have adventures beyond the walls of the palace. One hot morning, Batari decided to go on a hunt in the deep forests outside the kingdom. His advisors warned him it was unwise to journey too far from home, as the forests were said to be enchanted and full of dangers. But the bold prince paid no heed to the cautions. Batari took his sturdy spear and bow and arrows, and ventured into the lush verdant woods. He hunted for many hours, his skilled eyes tracking the movements of antelope and wild boar. But the creatures always seemed to sense his presence and fled before he could strike. As the sun began to sink low in the sky, Batari found himself deeper in the forest than he had ever gone before. He started to worry he may not be able to find his way back before nightfall. Just then, he heard a rustling sound nearby. Batari nocked an arrow and waited breathlessly. Out of the dense foliage stepped the most wondrous sight. A magnificent deer with a reddish-brown coat that seemed to shimmer like gold in the fading light. But strangest of all, the deer's eyes shone with a remarkable, almost human-like intelligence as it gazed at the prince. Entranced, Batari found he could not bring himself to pull back his bow. He simply stood frozen, staring at the magical creature. After a few moments, the deer turned and bounded silently away, disappearing through the trees. Without a thought, Batari followed, his heart and mind consumed by the deer's ethereal beauty. He raced over gnarled roots and around towering trunks, his feet carrying him effortlessly in pursuit of the enigmatic animal. At last, the deer slowed to a stop in a moonlit forest clearing. Batari approached cautiously, his chest heaving with exertion. To his amazement, the deer lifted its head and let out a sigh that sounded almost human. Then, in a blinding shimmer of light, the majestic beast transformed before his eyes into a breathtakingly lovely young woman. "My name is Zulika," she said in a melodious voice. "I was cursed years ago by an evil witch doctor who practiced the dark arts of shape-shifting. By day I am forced to live in the form of a deer, until I find my true love to break the spell." Batari was struck dumb, unable to comprehend what his eyes had witnessed. Zulika explained that she was a princess of a nearby kingdom, her family's realm devastated by war. Fleeing the destruction, she had taken refuge in this enchanted forest, only to be ensnared by the witch doctor's curse. For 3 nights in a row, Batari returned to the sacred forest glen to see Zulika. They talked for endless hours as the moon moved across the starry sky. The gentle princess described the lush palace gardens of her childhood home, while Batari regaled her with tales of his youthful adventures. They realized their souls were profoundly bonded, 2 restless spirits who had at last found meaning with each other. On the 3rd night together, as the first light of dawn began to filter through the trees, Zulika started to transform again, her body contorting in anguish as her human shape shifted back into the deer. But this time was different. A dark force field seemed to be disrupting and distorting the change. "The witch doctor knows you have found me," Zulika cried out in a terrible anguished cry, more animal than human. "He aims to keep us apart forever." Before Batari's horrified eyes, Zulika's shape morphed into a hideous beast, half deer and half human, her once beautiful features twisted into an unholy atrocity. The tortured creature let out a haunting, plaintive wail that shook the trees. It turned and bounded away, disappearing into the shadowy forest. Batari ran until his lungs felt they might burst, chasing the unholy shape and desperately calling out Zulika's name. But the beast was gone without a trace. The prince collapsed to the ground, his body racked with sobs of anguish and grief over his lost love. For the next 5 years, Batari searched every corner of the accursed forest, stopping only to make brief trips back to the palace to resupply his provisions. He slept under the stars, enduring stinging insect bites, raging thunderstorms, and attacks from deadly serpents and predatory animals. Everywhere he tracked the foul beast that was once his beloved Zulika, but never once did he catch sight of it. The young prince's face grew lean and hardened by his struggle in the wilderness. His golden skin burned dark as desert clay in the relentless sun. His vibrant clothing turned to rags. Yet he pressed on, fueled by the hope that he would one day find Zulika and free her of the witch doctor's curse. For he knew in his heart their love could overcome any evil magic. One night, as Badari sat huddled in a cave, eating roots and drinking from a stream, a vision overcame him. In the shimmering walls of the cave appeared the figure of the deer Zulika, but not twisted into an unholy creature. The deer was radiant and unblemished, with kind, knowing eyes. It seemed to beckon the prince to follow it deeper into the cave. Heart pounding, Badari grabbed a burning branch and followed the vision further into the dank cavern. The tunnel opened up into an enormous chamber with a vaulted ceiling that reached up into blackness. In the center was a clear, glowing pool that did not seem to be fed by any stream or river. Suddenly the vision of the deer vanished, and there, crouched at the edge of the glowing pond, was the very same tortured beast that had once been Zulika. The foul thing raised its head, eyes burning with hatred and anguish. It opened its mouth in a bone-chilling roar of rage that shook the cavern. Unafraid, Badari stepped forward and spoke in a clear voice. "Zulika, my love, I will never stop fighting to free you from this torment. Our bond is stronger than any curse. You must remember the love we share." For a few endless moments, the beast stared at the prince in hateful silence. Then something miraculous began to happen. Its distorted, ugly features seemed to soften and grow calm. The malice faded from its eyes, replaced by a look of recognition. Finally, like the sun breaking through dark clouds, Zulika's beautiful human face emerged from the twisted form of evil magic. "My dearest Badari," she said in a tremulous voice, "your courage has saved me." With that, a blinding light filled the cavern. When the spots cleared from Batari's vision, there stood Zulika in all her radiant glory, smiling at him with profound love and relief. The two lovers embraced, their tears of joy mingling together. Zulika explained that the cave they were in was a sacred place of good magic from the beginning of time. As long as she remained there, she would hold her human form, and the witch doctor's curse would be forever broken. Taking Zulika's hand, Badari knew his long torment in the dark forest had finally ended. In that sacred cavern bathed in heavenly light, they looked upon each other and saw their path forward. Come what may, their strong hearts and souls would be bonded for all eternity. When they at last emerged from the underground sanctuary, the sun had just peeked over the horizon of the forest trees. Birds sang and brilliant wildflowers bloomed at their feet. Zulika and Badari turned their faces to the golden light and walked together towards the new day and the lifetime of love and adventure that lay ahead.